Well, hello and welcome back to TwoSun Tuesday. So, I have right here a rather new one, even though its number might betray that a little bit. As we can see here, it's the TS194. This is a relatively new Mazwan Mokhtar design here. As you can see, we have a nice gray stonewashed titanium handle here on both sides, including the clip that's actually reversible on this guy. Fantastic to see TwoSun doing that on more than, I don't know, 3 knives that they've done in the past. So really glad to see that. This is, of course, a rather new one, so it's using D2 rather than 14C or a whole bunch of other different knife materials that I kind of wish they would move into besides D2. I'd love to see them actually use like ATS34 or something like that. That would be awesome. That's basically the same thing as 154 CM, but it was Japanese made. Spyderco used to use them a long time ago, and I think Benchmade for a very, very, very short amount of time ended up using it. But regardless, this is a D2 blade here. As we can see, we have a fairly high flat grind, but we do have a bit here before it's clipped off, so I don't know if you would call that like a high saber grind. It's basically right in the beginning, right in the middle of all of that, so there you go. Something interesting about this one, and they've done it on a few that have come out rather recently, is this is basically a steel liner lock with titanium handles on there. The steel is basically bolted on the inside there. And of course, we only need that on one side because, well, titanium is definitely strong. And it seems to work out. For this one in particular, this liner does sit out proud. And I don't know, it's kind of strange. For some people, they'll probably appreciate that because that does give you a little bit more access to the lock bar there. But I'm not exactly the hugest fan of a lock bar's profile being out more on that side. It ends up to me feeling just a little bit like a knife with proud liners. Sure, the one that I have here at the moment is the Civivi something with a C, Conspirator. I get that mixed up in the Kojin all the time. But there's a whole bunch of knives that have come out kind of like that. But at least that's not on the top. It's just down here where hopefully you're not actually putting a whole lot of pressure up onto there. But hey, whatever happens, happens. This one, being a little bit newer, does have his logo on the blade. A lot more of his older designs from TwoSun usually had him as well as the company logo kind of laser engraved on the inside of the titanium handles. But I think TwoSun kind of wanted to shy away from that a little bit because they're really building their brand and stuff like that. In that particular way, unless things have changed severely recently, they rarely actually sell any of their knives through eBay anymore. They mostly go through retailers. White Mountain Knives is fantastic for something that you can buy here American, but there's also a reseller, Tangly, on Amazon who sells them. As well as through various other AliExpress sort of things. So I think that's probably part of that there. Let's see. So we have a 3.7 millimeter blade stock thickness on this guy, which, all things considered, is just a little bit reserved as far as a lot of TwoSuns designs go. They seem to average about 3.8, but will easily go up to 4. Or hell, in a very specific case, 5.1 millimeters. This is for a later date. Yes. So we got 3.7 millimeters. We have a pretty decent blade grind going on here. Not an absolute laser beam behind the edge there, but still a very, very nice edge geometry. Not like any of those crazy wedge ones that TwoSun used to make in the, I don't know, 20 to 40 series of numbered models there. Yeah, this is a liner lock, and it ain't playing around with its heft. This is 5.8 ounces or 165 grams. I am so sorry for that. That is absolutely incorrect. It is 5.27 ounces, or 149.5 grams. Still heavy to be sure, but yeah, I was reading the wrong things that I had written down on my little notebook to the side here. We have a 3.34-inch blade. You can see it's fairly tall, but does have quite a bit of you could use. I'm going to call it a drop point. But, you know, with it being kind of a swedged there, but without the little concave, you could almost maybe call that a clip point as well. Really kind of rides the balance between them. Has a nice flipper tab on there that doesn't stick out too much past there. Full backspacer, which I appreciate, but does definitely increase the weight on this one in particular. But that also protects the blade from being exposed up top here, which looks like it probably could have happened. If you actually peek down in there, there's no way I can actually get to that blade though, so it's perfectly safe in there. But it also does have a fuller. It's fairly decently knocked down, but you can use it for, well, I do like to use my my index finger there, but I have a little bit less success rate with doing the Spidey flick rather than that kind of deployment there. But yeah, you can do that. And I suppose if you really wanted to, because this is a liner lock, so you don't really have to worry about any of the lock bar pressure that you might accidentally add there. You can do that with the thumb open there. We have a finger choil here in Mazwan's fashion. Way too small for me. But yeah, what are you going to do? I don't think that the guy particularly has gigantic hands. So, you know, I wouldn't necessarily expect that. Yeah, just a little tiny bit of a harpoon sort of thing here. But mostly it's used as a thumb guard here because there's no jimping on the front, but that does definitely help with it. As far as the plunge grind goes, looks like, yeah, it ends way back here. And then we have a bit before the edge, and of course that edge is pushed out further due to the finger choil there. So yeah, I have reprofiled this to 17 degrees behind the edge, super nice and sharp, and yep, no problems with smiling yet. But I suppose I don't know, years down the line that may change, but you know, in the near future, we're all good. I really do like the stone washing that TwoSun ends up doing. And, you know, at least for the D2 blades and stuff like that, it's another good finish to go along with other than satin, because both of those help with corrosion. If they just did a bead blast on there, which TwoSun isn't really known for, it actually has like a lot of pores and actually opens up more surface area, so it's actually worse for corrosion than some of these other ones are. But, I suppose take it or leave it. I generally do like stonewash finish, though. It just visually looks nice and does a really good job of hiding scratches if you want. This does have their kind of billboarded titanium pivot collars on both sides here. I personally don't have any problems with that, but there are some people out there who really don't like it, think it's ugly, or, I don't know, maybe they're just a little ashamed of the fact that the knife they're carrying is from China. I don't know. I suppose that probably happens in certain places. I guess the States probably more than other places around the globe, but I don't know. I don't necessarily know how Europeans and stuff like that really view a lot of this. And I don't think there's a whole lot of South American countries that end up getting a lot of you know, international pocket knives. A lot of the countries, especially Brazil, have just outrageous import taxes on anything that basically prices them out of the market, even if something was relatively affordable everywhere else. Well, that's a crazy digression that really doesn't need to happen. Okay, so we have some nice facets, basically one kind of going around the whole side here. We can see it kind of reaches its apogee here. And we got a couple of speed holes going on in here. I don't mind it at all, and it probably makes it just a little bit easier to try to clean this thing out, since it does have a full-length backspacer going on there. This does have a bit of a modified clip from Mazwan Mokhtar's recent designs, whereas it's not just a ridiculous ball. It's still fairly shaped that way, but it does have a little bit more of a, I guess, vertical landing patch, if you will. So it does make it a little bit easier to get in and out of the pocket. All that being said, though, this pocket clip is fairly stiff, so it's until that pocket clip either bends on its own or you really do kind of wrench it a bit. It is a little difficult to get in and out of a pocket. What are you going to do? I find that happens on a lot more titanium milled pocket clips than steel pocket clips and stuff like that. But all right, so I think I covered that. I got the weight. 3.31 inch blade on this guy. So full size knife, but maybe on the smaller side there. That's also 86.1 millimeters for the people who probably use the more sensible measuring stuff. But still, I'm here in the States, and imperial measurements, to me, still make a heck of a lot more sense than the metric system does for most things. But I've got a couple of Spyderco knives here. We got the PM2 and the Manix 2XL, just to kind of compare that. Very similar, I suppose, in size to the PM2. Much wider, though. This guy is, well, not actually all that much. This is 0.54 inches, and the PM2 is 0.505 or so. So there we go. But this obviously has more sharpened blade lengths because that finger choil happens before the end of the handle, whereas the choil here ends up basically half in and half off at the handle. So there's a couple of Spydercos. How about if we go for a couple of Benchmades here? I got the 940 here and the Bug Out. I think probably the Griptilian would probably be really, really similar in blade size here. I don't own one currently, so there's definitely that. I've thought about it, but man, after my experiences recently with a lot of FRN knives, I don't want one. Even though I think the Griptilian started out with ABS plastic and maybe changed somewhere along the lines once or twice. But still. But there's that. And it's probably right around the same size as the very, very recent release, the Tagged Out. But that's, of course, just an orange FRN. And this is a heck of a lot more robust. Much thicker blade on it, too. But hey, there you go. There with some blade size comparisons. How about some more affordable choices? There's the Ontario Ret number 1. Oh, what was the other knife I wanted to use? No. Why not? Yeah, this is the K-Bar Dozier. Much smaller, but that's to be expected. This isn't a particularly enormous knife. This was very much designed to be a very compact design. So, yeah, I think that's about everything that I wanted to cover on this guy in particular. Pretty comfortable in the hand. I do like the fact that you can swap that pocket clip over to the other side. However, this thing does stick out quite a ways from the handle here. So, for lefties, this is great. But I did swap the pocket clip over because occasionally I do like to carry one on my left side as an offhand, on the other side of my my main hand sort of thing, and that works. But for a right-handed thing, it really gets me right in between these two fingers here, and not nearly as comfortable as if it's on that side. So you can swap that, but it's more or less just for lefties rather than an offhand carry sort of thing. But still glad to see it regardless. So, with all of that being said, now I'm finally done with my standard review. So if that's what you came for, appreciate y'all for stopping by. If you appreciate what I'm doing here, go ahead and give me a like or subscribe or thumbs up or leave me a comment or something like that. I don't know. I do read the comments. A lot of times I am very terrible at getting back to them until a few days later, but they do all come into my email inbox, so I do see them when they are posted. So, don't think that any of your comments are falling on deaf ears. I'm seeing them all. I just, I'm lazy, and that's all, all I could really say about that. I'd appreciate it if you give me a subscribe or something like that. I'm just a little bit under that 1,000 mark, and I'm always interested in just growing my subscriber base just a little bit. That would, give me the warm fuzzies seeing those numbers move and stuff like that. But appreciate y'all for stopping by. For the rest of us, we're gonna take a look on the inside of here. So then, some people really don't care to see the inside of the knife, and that's perfectly okay. That's why I do the review first, and then we can take a look afterwards. So, with almost all other TwoSuns, this is a T8 hardware all the way around. And yes, you do need to pull the pocket clip out because it is part of one of those Chicago screws here. Oh. And let's see. Yep. Pull out the shorter one here. And the pivot screw. Now I have put some Loctite, medium strength Loctite on those guys, so that doesn't come from the factory. But they have on a couple of them. This one, even though you probably can't feel it all that much, it does indeed include their multi-row bearings, which I do like to see. For this one in particular, the action on it is pretty darn good, but I think a lot of that probably comes down to much more of the bearing ride from the liner there, rather than the multi-row bearings. But the multi-row bearings do give you that nice free-floating feel with having a little bit more structural rigidity, since there's basically two different circles of points that are going on there. You can see there's the back spacer here. Nothing super spectacular going on. But, yes, this thing is essentially highly milled on both sides. So they did do everything that they could to remove a lot of additional weight there, except for probably having the full-size back spacer. But hey, I certainly like that. And then we have two T6 screws that mount directly into the titanium here for the little steel liner there. But still, that's all backed up by titanium. It's basically the same strength and all that sort of stuff as pretty much any other titanium frame lock and all that sort of stuff goes. With that being said, I suppose I can just go ahead and apparently try to sling this off my table. Alrighty. Of course. Of course. Sorry for the weird cut there, but yeah, I'm back and trying to put this guy back together. This one is just a little bit more challenging than other ones, with the notch not having a huge amount of forgiveness going on with being able to get it just right. But looks like I have got it there. So I can slap the pivot collar back on. Here's wrist cam for you. Yeah. All right. Get that T6 out of here. I'm not going to need it. Alright, there's one of the two. Oops. And here's two. Okay. Sure. Nice. And kind of dealt with. Yeah, there we go. We are all nice and back together now. Hooray! I always like when a story actually ends with a happy ending. Well, I usually do. Alright. Well, that's going to do it for this TS194 here. That despite its number is a very, very recent release as of the time that I've actually recorded this video here. Pretty neat, but if you were thinking that this was a titanium frame lock, it's not quite, but it's 90% there. But alright, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe, please.